My name is William Michael Forbes. I'm a spiritual medium, a channel, and an intuitive life coach. And I want to welcome you to the Monday edition of Shortcuts for Your Soul. Today I have with me the Pleiadian Council, and they wanted to discuss an experiment in telepathy. They wanted to discuss what telepathy is, how it functions, and how to intentionally cultivate your own abilities to be telepathic. And so I hope you'll remember, if you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up, and click the notification bell so you know whenever we come live. Then you can join us. It's a fascinating thing. They said to me this morning, it's important you let everyone know that all humans are telepathic. All humans are telepathic. They have that innate ability to transmit and receive information without use of the five physical senses. The challenge that many of you face, even though you are telepathic all of the time, is that your sensitivity to your capability to transmitting and receiving this form of communication has been somewhat blunted by your continued attachment to the physical world in and of itself. The vibrational frequency of sound waves, the vibrational frequency of light waves as your eyes and ears perceive them, is a different frequency than the wavelength of thought. Whereas you as a conscious individual have the ability to transform the frequency of thought from the invisible spectrum of consciousness, that is invisible to your senses, you are able to bring the form and frequency of thought down to the realm of biology so that you can transmit the frequency of thought as a sound wave through your vocal systems. And you can receive the frequency of a thought wave as a sound wave through your physical ears. Your physical ears convert sound waves back into the invisible frequency of thought. Now, our goal here today is to remind you of two things. One, that you are telepathic, that this ability is not gone from any of you, but like anything, it must be exercised in order for it to function. Whereas so many of you are attached to simply the sensations of sound frequencies and light wave frequencies, you have been distracted from these other frequencies of thought, although you use it all of the time. Every one of you is transmitting, every one of you is receiving thought vibrational frequencies all of the time. You simply have not developed your perception and your awareness sufficiently enough to remain attuned to this frequency of thought. Except in your own mind, you seem to be very connected to your own thoughts, but unable to distinguish yourself from your biology sufficiently enough to recognize that there are thoughts coming and going around you all of the time, moving over your consciousness. You're simply so accustomed to hearing with your ears that you do not hear with your consciousness as you do with your ears. But we would offer you some very simple ways that you can begin the process. You can begin the process of cultivating your awareness back to the frequency of thought that is moving around you so that you can transmit and receive, as we often do with one another over great distances, transmit and receive information that does not require a frequency of sound or the frequency of light as you understand it through your optic sensors, as a means for being able to hear our brethren, our family, our sisters, and even others in the galactic community. Thought is something we all understand is a vibrational frequency, only different in degree and intensity than a sound wave, but you are attuned to your own frequency of thought wave. but have not learned to shift your perception broadly enough beyond your physical body so as to be able to perceive these other thought forms that are all around you all the time. Many of you have the experience where you are looking at someone and you're wondering about them and you're thinking about them, and suddenly they turn and look at you and you go, oh, they're looking at me, and you turn away, often somewhat embarrassed that your telepathic message was received and that they did receive it and they did respond to it, and you feel embarrassed. Please understand that that embarrassment is a waste of your time, that you should be delighted and surprised when your telepathy is received by another, or you receive the telepathy of others. Also, when you are considering someone you wish to communicate with and they suddenly connect with you or call you or you run into them, these are acts of telepathic communication, whether you're conscious of it or not, that are affecting an immediate communication between yourself as the sender and the other as the receiver, and vice versa. For you will also find yourself where you call somebody and they say, oh, I was just thinking about you. How then do you begin a process of deliberately cultivating your telepathic skills? For you have often wondered, and those of you that have encountered us directly in many of your continents and countries have done so through telepathy, and we have responded to you. So how then do you cultivate that process intentionally while you're in this physical body? What we gave to this one to do one time was to sit very quietly in a place that is very busy, that has a certain mood and tone to it, to then in that space begin to transmit an idea of joy into that space, an idea of great laughter, an idea of excitement into the space. And as you transmit that idea, thinking of laughter or transmitting ideas of playfulness, as you stay in that energy, begin to observe as you hold that thought form of excitement and playfulness and joy, begin to observe what begins to unfold around you. You will notice there will be people will begin to smile at you, that there may be sounds of laughter. You will see and observe how the transmission of your thought wave begins to radiate out from your point of origination, in this case, from the point of origination within your body, and it radiates out and begins to affect all things that it comes in contact with, to the degree and extent that those things can receive it. And so in that place where you're seated and you are relaxed and you are joyful to transmit that thought form energy outward, you do not need to know where it will go. Suffice to say that all thought transmitted from your consciousness, from your attention, which is the genesis point of that transmission. Your attention is the genesis point that transmits information. And that genesis point radiates out in concentric spheres in all directions, 360 degrees in all directions, like great spheres within spheres, radiating out from the locus of the point where it was generated. In this case, you are sitting and you are generating a vibration of joy and excitement and curiosity and playfulness. You're generating that frequency out. And all those within the space that are able to receive the transmission of that wave of thought on that frequency will begin to respond to it. Many will be responding unconsciously, suddenly feeling unexpectedly good, or suddenly smiling. You will see these things occur around you. And our goal was very simple today: to begin the step in reawakening humanity to assuming proper, due diligent authority over thought and the transmission of thought. For the unregulated, unreasoned, and unconsidered thoughts that many of you generate of fear and anger and uncertainty and terror, these thoughts generate, and articulate an influence in your experience of time and space. Please understand that if you do not gain sufficient control over these thought generations that you are individually and collectively engaging in, that there are very precise effects in the experience of time, space, and matter that unfold from certain qualities of thought, which in turn generate very specific qualities and organization of molecular structures to create specific experiences in this realm of time, space, and matter. Please understand this. That very specific and precise thoughts organize molecular substance into experiential realities that you call your material experience as it exists today. Collectively, you are observing on your planet the sum total result of all thought enjoined in time, space, and matter from each and every individual collectively. The elimination of any groups or individuals in an attempt to try and circumvent this process of negativism that you find your species stuck in will not succeed, for the very act of seeking to get rid of something requires there be a quality of thought with a quality of energy that is destructive. And so you find yourself organizing experiences on your planet, indeed even in your solar system, that are effects of the qualities of the energy that are generated by the nature and kind of thoughts that you choose to hold in your consciousness. There are those of you that are more sensitive to the effects of thought, and there are those of you who are less sensitive to the effects of thought. But the degree and intensity by which a thought and the corresponding energy that it generates produces will affect each individual in different degrees and intensities over varying amounts of time and space. Please understand, it is very difficult for us to come here physically because the toxicity of the energy here is very difficult for some of us to tolerate. Only our strongest and best tend to come here, for they have a high ability to stay in a frequency of consciousness that keeps them somewhat shielded energetically from being induced into the dominant vibrations of your collective species. What we are here to simply start is a process of making as many of you aware as possible that there are qualities of thought that induce very specific changes in the flows of energy that alters and changes conditions of time, space, and matter. Your material experience is a direct result of the combination of thought and the corresponding energy, which you may choose to call emotion, that is generated as a result of the nature and quality of a specific thought. A thought of joy produces a very precise and specific energy that can be intensified or diminished in varying degrees, just as a thought of fear or a thought of anger can likewise do the same, generate a very specific intensity and degree of quality that matches the nature of that thought. In offering you this simple process to become aware that you are actually generating conditions that you're experiencing, both the favorable ones and the unfavorable ones, you can begin to then collectively align your consciousness back to a frequency of joy, back to a frequency of positive creation, so that others in this galactic community can feel comfortable enough coming into this space and time experience. You would not invite someone into your home you had if it was very filthy or dirty, would you? It would not be comfortable for your guest to come into a place that is not pleasant and pleasing. So too, that realm of thought, we experience it in that fashion also. And as we have said before, only our most hardiest and well-attuned individuals are able to function in this time-space continuum with you, because the ability to regulate our thought is far superior than it is with most of you on this physical dimension. Coming to the place in the understanding that you can collectively and intentionally alter the quality of your thought frequencies will open the door to many great opportunities and reverse the existing trends that we see unfolding and have seen unfold on your planet multiple times as a result of thought. And these are events that physically represent the discharge of accumulated energies that do not serve the expression and expansion of life to its highest degree. That is, the experiential energy of fear and anger, these lower vibrational thought forms that produce lower vibrational energy substances that cause very specific changes in your physical world, must be altered and changed, or there will be a very specific result. And that is just the way it happens. The vibration of love, the vibration of joy, the vibration of peace necessitates a very specific organization of electronic particles, subatomic particles, that in turn organize very specific flows of energy in the form from your subjective experience that we would call emotion. And that these emotions induce very precise changes in your experience of time, space, and matter. Your deliberate and conscious ability to alter and change thought at will to be in alignment to a frequency state that you would prefer to experience must be cultivated in order for your experience to become more intentional. Many of you are under the illusion that there is some form of separation between you and other physical bodies, whether that be the body of a human being sitting next to you, or the body of another animal, or a creature in the sky, or a moon around your earth, or the sun in your solar system. There is no separation from the realm of thought. The process of thought is organizational in that it takes undifferentiated particles of invisible energy, what you might call plasma, and begins to organize them into a physical matrix of manifestation, which in turn alters physical structures. And so then the sun, the earth, the planets in your solar system, even in this galaxy, are influenced in various ranges and degrees by the nature and quality of thoughts and emotions that you choose to align yourself to. And so while you are simultaneously inviting us to come into your world, you are also pushing us away with the vibrational energies you tend to emanate that are quite uncomfortable. As we had said earlier, it is not much fun to go into a place that is not pleasant. And while we are here in our greatest attempts to help you to awaken to your own capacity to alter and change physical conditions as a result of your creative process through the utilization of this invisible realm of thought, which indeed influences and affects the visible realm of matter, time, and space, we will do our best. But you must be open and receptive to hearing. You must be open and receptive to changing. You must become conscious and cognizant of your ability to utilize thought, and the very simple act of sitting in a space where there are other people around and simply aligning your awareness to the vibrational consideration of the thought form of joy, of union, of happiness, of peace, to stay in that energy and to observe what begins to happen, to become aware that you induce by way of thought conditions of time, space, and matter to become your experience that you call your life. But this is a creative extension of your thought. It is the product of thought, this world around you that you see. It is this energy of thought coalescing and organizing information into activities that cause your bodies to function in precise manners to create and produce what you see around you. But let us be very clear on this gentle and cautionary note that although you have the capacity to alter and change the existing paradigm of change that's occurring in your solar system, you also have the ability to ignore that. And either way, the cycle will continue again. A process, one way or another, will unfold. Whether it is to your benefit or your detriment is your own creative endeavor. In our planetary systems, we have come to understand very clearly the direct correlation between wavelengths of thought and their impact and effect upon time, space, and matter. We do not need to exist exclusively in time, space, and matter, but understand you are neighbors, and what you are saying and thinking and doing has an influence. It does not just remain in the confines of your planetary system, but emanates out and does exert an influence and effect on others. It can be quite annoying if your neighbor is blaring music all hours of the night and you cannot get some rest. Would you not agree? So we would encourage you at this suggestion to begin this process of aligning your thought to vibrational conditions that would be more favorable to your creative expression and experience in time and space. Regardless of what the outcome is, we will continue to observe and be a part of your process. The greater degree and extent you get to align yourself to frequencies that are of a higher vibrational nature, you open the door to greater communication with us and many others that are also likewise observing and watching with great intrigue and interest as to what will happen in the coming 2 years on your planet. You sit at a very interesting point right now where you get to decide. And you think separation is a reality? Well, you are in for a surprise. You cannot separate yourself from your neighbors. You can become aware of this fact, or you may choose to ignore it. But please understand, your attempt to dominate one another in the authorization of force and control will always end in failure. It has never led to success. It has led to, at the very least, remedial and temporary changes in your collective experience, simply by eliminating one aspect of the physical expression, hoping the other one can go on without it. But the reality is you all came here to learn to coexist collectively in the creative process, as we are collectively with you in that also from the perspective of a galactic experience. The consciousness that emanates from this galaxy out to the what you call the universe also has a corresponding relationship as you do to the immediate galactic systems around you. But this is your opportunity to hear these words, to learn to cultivate your telepathic capabilities, to become mindful of its principles and its effect on not only your own mind and your own body and your own experience of creation, but on the realm of how it affects not only your planet and the creatures upon it, but also the wider planetary community that exists around you. You cannot separate yourself from the effects of your own causes. And thought is the preeminent starting point for creation in this dimension of physical time and space. Thought is the starting point. If you choose to ignore these words, that will have its own consequences. If you choose to heed these words, that too will have its own consequences. But that simple act of beginning to observe how your thought is affecting space and time around you and within your experience of time and space within the individualized form that you are currently inhabiting, you will come to a great state of freedom and peace, knowing that thought does indeed organize conditions of emotion, which in turn organize your experience of matter, time, and space. Be mindful what you share with others. Be mindful of the thoughts and ideas that you share with others through your telecommunications systems, through your books, through your languages, through your thoughts. Become mindful of these things, for they are all a creative influence on your experience of matter, time, and space. So when you write a story, or when you make a movie, or you share information, or you speak an idea, you are creating, altering subtly, sometimes quite expediently, effects in time, space, and matter. But this simple and subtle process, this little experiment in telepathy, will illuminate you to the truth. It will illuminate you to the truth. And when you sit in that place and you emanate that thought of joy, that thought of love, that thought of peace, and you emanate it and you watch and observe how people around you begin to shift and change, then go to another place and do the same again, and go to another place and do the same again. Learn to begin to emanate an intentional state of energy that is more favorable to the continuance of your evolution as consciousness, as a collective species, as individuals, it must become intentional and deliberate and conscious. So many of you are very unaware of what it is that you are doing. But now you have no excuse. If you hear these words and you understand them, you cannot then leave and say, I am not responsible for what I think or how it affects this world around me. I'm not responsible for what I say and how that thought form affects the world around me. Or what I listen to, I'm not responsible for what I listen to or for how it affects me. Be mindful of what you receive as equally as what you will transmit to this world. For what you shall receive and what you shall give ought to be the same thing, that in alignment with love, greater unity, curiosity, playfulness, and the expansion of your consciousness. You are free to continue the repeated cycle of negative to positive, but you will remain in the duality of that experience, never having the opportunity, at least for a time, to transcend duality, to understand the state of unity that occurs and what that means as an experience of time, space, and matter. This is all we have to say today. We hope that you will go out and indulge yourself in awakening and observing your experience telepathically upon others. Please understand, you affect time, space, and matter in this fashion, whether you are aware of it or not, whether you take responsibility for it or not. Each and every one of you has the capability that is equal to the other. We encourage you to do so consciously and in love. Wow. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's short capsule. I want to say thank you to the Pleiadian Council for being present with us today. There are more and more of these galactic beings that are trying to get connected to us. But I really like the analogy of going into how would you feel going into a really filthy, how do you feel walking into a dirty outhouse if somebody threw feces all over it? How would that feel? And that's how they feel when they come to us. When they come into our energy field as a collective species, we are really not very mindful about what we think or what we feel or what we do as a result of those thoughts. And I hope that that we take heart from what they're saying. Anyway, let's get into some questions and answers about this. Hi, Christopher. Welcome. Hello, Jay. Hello, Allison. Hi, Grace. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Grace. Hi, Diane. Question: is there a message from my guardian angel on my oversoul? You may consider this that message, please. Many of you do not understand the nature of your own creative process. And while we will come here to afford the knowledge and information we have and put it at your disposal, you must choose to be mindful enough to pick it up when it is in front of you. When we put it before you, it is for you to consume. Yes. The idea of going to a space and applying your knowledge and experiencing your creative effect on time and space, is that not a great message for you, dear one? To know that you and all of you are affecting the creation, whether you are aware of it or not. The genesis of thought is very precise in its effects and the means and ways in which it organizes the invisible substance of creation, this substance you call plasma, that gets organized into physical particles or atoms and molecules, as you call them, subatomic particles that get organized into higher expressions of themselves that then become the experience of your actions, the experience of your emotions, that you can stimulate and generate these as an act of your intentional will. That is our message to you. Hi, Adam. Hi, Sunny. Question from Sunny. I've been seeing glimpses of Sekhmet. Does she have a message for me? I've been wanting to do a painting of her too. Thank you. It's interesting that you call this forth into your life. Are you ready to receive it? You have been inspired to paint. Why are you not painting? You have received the idea. Why not act upon it? Many of you call upon many of us from multiple dimensions to come forth and offer you guidance. And you expect your guidance to come in a specific way, but you get an inclination to paint. And you still want a message. The inclination to paint is the message. Understand this. The inclination to paint is the message. Question from Jana. Does the typical body have to go through pain when we alter its vibration from previous fear thoughts to joy or relaxation? Thank you. Only in the mechanism of transition, you must understand that there are mediums of the physical dimension that go through time-space considerations. So to change a certain emotional quality from one state into another, there is an element of what you call time that does indeed appear that something has to go from this moment to this moment in order for an effect to change. If the transmitting vibration of love is clear and consistent, the degree and intensity of that transmission of energy can shorten the duration of time necessary to implement the transformation in the manifestation of the physical condition. In other words, that pain can go quicker or slower depending upon the intensity, degree, and strength of your transmission of love towards it. Understand that the nature of thought and the energy that is combined with it is very precise. The thought form of love organizes particles of information and emotion in very precise ways that, when induced into another system, begins to alter and change it. And the intensity, by being increased, will reduce the experiential change of time. So you will go through pain a lot less if your love is of greater intensity. If your love is of a lesser intensity, then the time factor of pain increases or diminishes according to that process of increasing or diminishing the transmission of the frequency. Wow. Got time for one more question. Question from Faradiba. A couple of days ago, an Indian-looking being came to me. Could you tell who he was and what was his message, please and thank you? I don't. I'm seeing this. I'm just seeing he's got like the soul of the spirit is a rishi, is a very, very ancient rishi. The message I'm getting from him to you is, be utterly still. Be utterly still and unperturbed by the world. This is important that so many of you must understand, to become unperturbed by the world around you. For the world around you is what the world around you is, but you do not need to be caught up in it in that sense, so that you are liberated from it and able to then assert a different influence or effect upon it. Wow, interesting. Thank you, Sunny. Guys, I want to say thank you for coming out today. I want to thank the Pleiadian Council for being present with us. I'm really, really grateful for this message. Later this week, we've got, on Wednesday, May the 4th, we've got the Divine Collective, and it's going to be they want to talk about your body is listening, your body is speaking, and that's going to be this Wednesday, May the 4th, with the Divine Collective. Your body is listening, your body is speaking. On Friday, May the 6th, 2022, we've got Master Jesus coming in and he's calling this sorting the wheat from the chaff. And he told me to put in brackets, renewing your mind. And that's going to be this Friday, May the 6th of 2022. Also, I want to encourage you, in the next 24 hours, our new course schedule for the late spring and summer of this year will be up on my website. So for those of you that want to register for our upcoming courses and classes, all those dates and times for the classes will be up on the website within the next 24 hours. And that's at my website, williammichaelforbes.com. You can still register for the Mediumship 104 program, which begins in 3 weeks from today. And I want to say thank you so much to my patrons for your support. I couldn't continue doing this without that. It's really amazing. I'm so grateful for all of that. So please continue your support. And I want to say much love to all of you. Yes, I understand that. Yes. Just one moment. I've got to go this. Now tomorrow on Wednesday morning, I'll be doing the announcement for who wins the free reading for this month with me. One of my patrons will win a free meeting this month, free reading with me this month. That's going to happen this Wednesday. So join us Wednesday, and I'll announce the winner for the free reading. Guys, thanks so much. This is really amazing, and yeah, you all make this possible. If there weren't ears to hear, there would be nothing to say. There would be nothing for them to say if we were not listening, right? So I want to wish you all much, much love. Have yourselves a wonderful, joyful day, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. Bye for now.